great Mathosian empire, born out of victory in the Bloodstorm, persisted for centuries upon centuries, ruled by the unbroken Mathos family line. Under its care, all the people of Talaria were united under one banner. It was a great age of peace, justice, and chivalry. Over 1,000 years after the rule of Torrid Mathos, his descendant King Joster the Ancient passed away in the company of his sons Adraxus, Zareph, and the bastard son Carwin. Adraxus, being the eldest, was crowned king, while Zareph took his seat at Port Sion, the richest city in all of Talara. Over the next few years, Mathosia saw a gradual and disturbing series of changes. King Adraxus began a heavy campaign of expansionism, hoping to tighten the empire's grip on its many vassal states. To fund this buildup, he raised oppressive taxes and sought to crush any and all dissent. Adraxus declared any speech against him or his policies to be treason, and handed the power of execution to his elite dragon knights. Through all of this, his brother Zareph was concerned but silent. Adraxus contacted his old tutor, Orpheal Fairwind, hoping to use his expertise to revive the technological wonders of the ancient Eth. Centuries ago, the Eth had been ordered by the Vigil to stop using these machines, and when they ignored these warnings, their empire was overwhelmed by great horrors. Since then, Mathosia had imposed a strict ban on such knowledge, but the king lifted this ban, encouraging the populace to become involved in heretical technomancy. The situation worsened as the king began showing an obsession with ancient death rituals, building a vast library of literature on the subject from all over Talara. He abandoned traditional worship of Theodore and turned away from the guidance of the Vigil entirely. Adraxus' inner circle of advisors were so concerned that they warned Prince Zareph that something was not right with their king. At the same time, Ashikatari of the Dragonslayer's Covenant traveled to Port Sion to tell Zareph troubling news. Rumors persisted that Adraxus was aligned with the Endless Court, the terrible death cult that worshipped Regulos, the dragon of extinction. Prince Zareph ordered all citizens of Port Sion to withhold taxes to the Empire, hoping to spark a confrontation with his brother and test his true nature. Adraxus immediately responded by marching on Port Sion. It was then that the Mathosian Civil War began in earnest. Zareph, having little military strength of his own, flees and takes most of the citizens of the city and all of its riches with him. Adraxus finds that Zareph has plundered the jewel of the Empire and declares him an outlaw. As Zareph tries to gather support for his side of the war, Adraxus significantly ramps up the war effort. He orders Orpheal to develop terrible war machines based on ancient Eth technology. To build these machines, the great granitewood forest, protected by Mathosians for thousands of years, is cut down. He further bolsters his army with Eth and Balmy mercenaries from the lowlands. The Tyrant King's true nature is finally revealed at the Battle of Shadefallen Keep. Zareph's small band of supporters seem absolutely doomed in the face of the vast Mathosian war machine, until Cyril Kalmar, a famous Mathosian hero, joined Zareph's cause. In the 11th hour, Cyril rallies and stops a horde of elite knights at the gate of the keep. Frustrated, Adraxus casts a powerful necromantic spell over his own troops, casting aside their human shells and revealing a horrifying undead army. Finally, the remaining people of Talara see that Adraxus has fallen to Regulos and his cult. He threatens to crack the ward protecting Talara and invite the plains to consume all of creation. His support evaporates immediately as the vast majority of his army and subjects desert him and join Prince Zareph. Adraxus is left with his machines, his mercenaries, and his horde of undead, and retreats to his seat of power in Mathosia. Zareph, meanwhile, continues to bolster his now formidable army with Born Gemmelt's dwarves and Shyla Starhearth's elves, who have come to recognize that this is no mere civil war. This is a war against death itself. The Rune Guard of Hammernail Fortress and finally the Dragonslayer's Covenant commit their armies to the war. Zareph also counts among his closest advisors Alsbeth, a great mage, and his brother Carwin, a hero in his own right. The final battle between the Pawns of Regulos and the heroes of Talara takes place at the former imperial seat of power. United under Zareph, all the races and peoples of Talara strike at once, crushing Adraxus' army and advancing to the inner sanctum of the Necromancer King. Moments before Adraxus is slain, though, the unthinkable happens. His machine succeeds in its task, opening a massive death rift over the heart of Mathosia. A terrible force, later known as the Shade, emerges from the rift and envelops Zareth's forces. All of his forces, all of those great heroes, are immediately and instantly lost. Cyril Kalmar, Ashikatari, all of them are killed. Zareth, witnessing these events from afar, retreats in horror to his makeshift fortress in Ardenburg, awaiting the inevitable. Certainly, Regulus has won, and all of Talara is doomed. It would take a miracle to save them.